Luann Johnson, a former Marine and English literature graduate, is searching for a teaching job. She has separated from her husband and now lives alone. Her friend, Hal Griffith, recommends her to Parkmont High School, where he also teaches. Luann meets with the assistant principal, Carla Nichols, to discuss the position. She is surprised when Carla immediately offers her a full-time job with a salary of $24,700 a year, replacing Mrs. Gingrich, instead of the part-time role she applied for. Luann becomes cautious when she learns that 3 substitute teachers quit the same class in a short time. Carla avoids giving a clear explanation, and Hal struggles to warn her about what she will face. He tries to hint that the students are troubled and hard to manage, but he does not speak plainly. Luann stays optimistic and refuses to let his words discourage her. On her first day, Hal escorts her to the classroom and reminds her his class is next door if she needs help. Luann walks in with confidence, but the students ignore her. They are loud, distracted, and show no interest in learning. Trying to gain control, Luann asks one student what happened to the previous substitutes. The student shouts that they killed them, grabbing the class's attention. Emilio Ramirez, the class leader, steps in and taunts Luann. His friends cheer loudly, making the situation even more chaotic and disturbing nearby classes. At first, Luann smiles and treats the scene lightly. But as Emilio pushes further and the noise grows worse, she begins to feel uneasy. Finally, she leaves and asks Hal for an explanation. Hal tells her bluntly that the only position available is with that group of students. At that moment, she realized she had walked into more than just a classroom. She had stepped into a dangerous mind. Luann doubts herself and feels let down by Hal's casual response. He explains that the kids are intelligent but lack basic academic skills. He advises her to find a way to capture their interest. Determined not to give up, Luann goes home and begins researching new strategies, preparing her own approach for the class. The next day, Luann arrived in an eccentric Marine-style outfit, wearing a leather jacket, jeans, and boots to project toughness. She hoped the look would make her seem like a cool and confident teacher. When the students walked in, they still ignored her. To grab their attention, Luann wrote on the board that she was a former Marine and asked if they knew karate. The move was risky, but it worked. Although school rules prohibited physical engagement, Luann created a loophole by turning karate into a classroom exercise. 2 students, Daryl and Raul, joined in and followed her directions with enthusiasm. Impressed, Luann told them they had the potential to become Marines, but only if they worked hard and earned strong grades.
And you're going to grab his wrist, okay?
The karate exercise sparked interest, but Luann quickly shifted to English lessons. She focused on verbs, using the word choose as an example. She connected the meaning to life decisions, such as choosing between giving up or facing challenges. This sparked discussion. Callie, one of the more engaged students, explained what the word meant to her and showed genuine enthusiasm. In the middle of the lesson, Carla entered and told Luann the principal wanted to see her. After class, Luann went to Principal Grandy's office. Carla was already there. Luann walked in without knocking, which irritated Grandy. The principal reprimanded her for the karate activity and her choice of lesson topics. He stressed that she must stick to the approved curriculum, even if the students found it uninteresting. The next day, Luann tried another approach. She brought candy bars and gave them as rewards for correct answers. The students became more willing to participate. She also introduced poetry and promised a field trip to an amusement park once they finished the assignment. The promise included roller coasters, hot dogs, and games. When students asked about the cost, Luann said the school board would pay. Emilio immediately doubted her, calling it an empty promise. The class turned against her, accusing her of lying, and they stopped engaging. When the bell rang, Callie stayed behind and gave Luann advice. If she wanted the class to listen, she first needed Emilio's support. Taking that advice, Luann gave Emilio a Bob Dylan poem about a drug dealer and asked for his thoughts. Emilio showed little interest and refused to join the discussion. That evening, Luann had dinner with Hal. During their conversation, Hal revealed that her ex-husband used to be his best friend. Luann knew Hal had placed her in a tough position with the unruly students, but she also saw that he was a decent person at heart. Hal invited her to spend time with his family, but Luann politely declined, feeling she wasn't ready. The next day, Luann witnessed a fight between Emilio and Raul that nearly turned violent. She quickly stepped in, separated them, and told Raul that Emilio was bigger, so picking a fight was pointless. She warned them that if the school found out, She would punish them, but promised to keep it secret if they stopped. Both boys agreed and walked away, but Angela, Emilio's girlfriend, warned Luann the fight wasn't finished. She was right. Soon after, Emilio, Raul, Daryl, and Guzmero were involved in another brawl. This time the school suspended them for 3 days, and Luann saw Raul being taken away by the police. Raul later explained that he fought Emilio to avoid being seen as weak. Luann regretted her earlier comment about Emilio's size, feeling it pushed Raul into the fight. She also questioned why Raul was arrested while Emilio, one of the school's most notorious troublemakers, only got detention. Determined to understand, Luann spoke with Emilio about his behavior. Emilio admitted that he came from a troubled family and that fighting gave him a sense of release. He said it was his way of coping as a disadvantaged child. Luann wanted to help, but Emilio doubted she could ever understand his life.
You mind telling me what the fight was about in the first place?
Yeah? You gonna try and figure me out? I'll help you.
I would like to help you, Emilio.
How the fuck you gonna save me from my life, huh?
After school, Luann visited Raul's home to speak with his parents. At first, they blamed Raul for the fight. Luann defended him, saying he had been protecting himself and that he was one of her favorite students. She described him as smart, funny, and articulate. Her words made his parents proud and moved Raul deeply, as it seemed he had never been praised like that before. Later, Luann went to Emilio's home to speak with his parents, though the details of their conversation were not shown. The next day, students turned against her, blaming her for Raul and Guzmero's punishment. They accused her of interfering in something that was not her business. Luann grew frustrated and gave the class a choice: leave or stay.
Nobody's forcing you to be here. You have a choice.
You rather than Raul, Guzmero, and Emilio. You're not bust here.
Do you have a choice to get on that bus? Well, if you all feel that strongly about it, leave the room.
To her surprise, Emilio defended her, saying he respected her effort to visit the families. Encouraged by him, the other students stayed. Luann then began a discussion about life choices, and Emilio finally joined in. His participation encouraged the rest of the class, and the atmosphere started to improve. Over time, Emilio grew to respect Luann, especially because she showed genuine concern by visiting students' homes and supporting them. She also kept her promise to take the class to an amusement park. The students enjoyed the trip. But Principal Grandy criticized her for organizing something outside school norms. Luann calmly explained that the students had invited her and she paid for everything herself. Grandy remained unimpressed, but he could do nothing to stop her. Building on that momentum, Luann introduced the Dylan Thomas Challenge, asking students to interpret poems by Bob Dylan and Dylan Thomas about death. The prize was a fancy dinner with her at an expensive restaurant in the city. To her surprise, the students took the challenge seriously, even spending time in the library to research. Instead of appreciating this effort, the librarians judged the students harshly. The winners were Raul, Daryl, and Callie.
Raul, Darrell, and Callie! Congratulations, Callie.
However, Callie could not attend the dinner because she had to work at a supermarket. Luann promised to bring her meal to her workplace. That evening, the dinner went ahead, but only Raul was able to join, as the others had to work. The restaurant felt overwhelming for Raul, but Luann encouraged him to order food and kept the conversation light to make him feel comfortable. During dinner, Raul confided that he would miss school to work, explaining he needed money to pay for a rented jacket worth $200. The jacket, he said, made him feel handsome. Luann was surprised he would spend so much for a single piece of clothing. Raul explained he had few nice clothes and wanted to feel confident. Moved, Luann offered to lend him the money on one condition: he had to repay her by graduating. Raul was shocked by the unusual deal but eventually agreed. Later, Luann visited Callie at the supermarket to deliver the meal. There, she learned that Callie was being transferred to another school because she was pregnant. Luann believed Callie had the potential to continue her education, given her strong performance in English. Callie, however, insisted on dropping out to focus on her baby. Unconvinced, Luann investigated further. The next day, she asked Carla about the transfer and found out it was not required, only Carla's preference.
And there's nothing I can do about it.
This makes me crazy.
We prefer that these girls go to the mother-to-be program at Clearview, because it is dangerous to have a pregnant girl in a classroom.
Luann rushed to share the good news with Callie, but Callie reacted with little enthusiasm. She revealed that her boyfriend was pressuring her to transfer and take care of their family. Recognizing the situation, Luann spoke privately with Callie. She shared her own story of being trapped in an abusive marriage, hoping Callie would see she had options. Though Callie said little, Luann could tell her words had reached her. As time passed, Luann's methods began to change the way her students viewed learning. At first, they wanted rewards for every task, but she taught them that learning itself was the real reward. The ability to read, think, and understand was a gift. A strong mind had to be trained, and each new idea was like a new muscle. Those muscles would make them strong, tools to face a difficult world. Resilience, she reminded them, was their greatest weapon. The setbacks did not stop there. Luann soon faced another challenge when she visited the home of Daryl and Lionel. Their parents had pulled them out of school, believing Luann had ruined their lives with her poetry. Their grandmother agreed, saying the boys should help pay bills instead of chasing dreams of becoming doctors or lawyers. Losing 3 of her brightest students broke Luann's spirit. Teaching became harder, but the rest of the class encouraged her to keep going. Just as she regained her focus, another crisis emerged. Luann learned that Emilio had been accused by older students of being a drug dealer and of stealing someone's girlfriend. He was now being threatened with death. Soon after, Luann found Emilio and Angela arguing in the schoolyard. Angela revealed Emilio was carrying a gun because his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend had threatened to kill him. Both Angela and Luann urged Emilio to stay at Luann's house for safety. At first he refused, but he eventually agreed. While Emilio stayed with her, Luann pressed him for details about the threat. She believed the school could intervene and send the boy responsible to juvenile detention, which might protect Emilio. She urged him to report the situation to the principal. Emilio listened, but said reporting would brand him as a snitch. He admitted he was prepared to kill instead of carrying that label. Luann was horrified, but she kept trying to reason with him. She reminded him that his life was at stake and reporting was the only way forward. Emilio said he would think about it and consider speaking to the principal. That night, however, he left her house without a word. The next morning, Luann went to school and asked Principal Grandy if he had seen Emilio. Grandy admitted he had, but said he turned Emilio away because he had not knocked before entering. Frustrated by his indifference, Luann returned to her classroom. Moments later, Carla arrived and told her that Emilio had been found dead. Carla explained that Emilio's body was discovered 3 blocks from the school, shot to death. She asked Luann not to tell the students, worried they might riot. Luann ignored the request and told the class the truth. The students were shocked and heartbroken, but they did not riot as Carla had feared. Emilio's death left Luann shaken. Believing she had failed as a teacher, she decided to quit. She told the class this would be her last year, offering the excuse that she had not signed a permanent contract and had other plans. The students, however, knew the real reason. They saw how Emilio's death and the loss of other students had drained her motivation.
I will not be here next year.
So if you knew you wasn't gonna stay, how come you made me promise what I promised?
Is it because it's too sad for you? What happened to Emilio?
We've been working hard and we stayed in school, man. What about us?
A few days later, Raoul helped Luann pack her things. He thanked her for giving him money to buy a jacket, saying it was the kindest gesture anyone had ever shown him. Luann encouraged Raoul to keep going in school, telling him she wanted to see him graduate. Raoul doubted he could succeed without her. Luann reassured him he was smarter than he believed and capable of finishing. Meanwhile, other students reminded Luann that they still needed her. They wanted her guidance to graduate, but their words did not immediately change her mind. On her final day, Callie returned to school and joined Luann's class. Raoul had brought her back on purpose, hoping it would convince Luann to stay. Then, all the students spoke together. They said they did not want her to leave. They reminded her of the poems they had studied about choice and resilience, pointing out that giving up now would contradict everything she had taught them. Their words reached her. Luann realized the students had grown to care for her as much as she cared for them. They did not want her to walk away without a fight. Moved by their determination, Luann chose to stay. She decided to continue teaching and stand by her students. The end. So the moral of the story is candy karate, and roller coasters can turn chaos into a classroom win.